Hi, it's Katrina. From heightened vision to Wolverine claws, here are 10 animal organs that would give you amazing superpowers. Bet you wish you could have some of these. Number 10. Vampire bat heat sensitivity. Vampire bats feed on the blood of sleeping animals, and to do so they have some unique abilities. In particular, the specialized sensors in their nose that allows them to detect heat. For the bat, this allows them to see the blood flow within their target. They first use their hearing to determine if the animal is asleep, and then these heat sensors show them exactly where the blood vessels are located inside the body of their prey. This means that they can swoop in and retrieve the precious blood on the first attempt, without risking biting a thick clump of hair and waking the animal up. For humans, the ability to precisely detect heat would be an amazing superpower. We'd be able to detect the presence of other people or animals anywhere around us, even at night. You wouldn't need night vision goggles either. Heat sensors are used from everything to ocean exploration, to archaeology, to the military, so who knows how having this superpower would affect our daily life. The military and armed forces in general would also have a much easier time. We could even tell whether the water was boiling for our pasta, or even sense a fire before our smoke alarm went off. Actually, we probably wouldn't even need those anymore. Number 9. The spookfish and mirror vision. Did you ever think that your mom had eyes in the back of her head? Or your teacher? Well, maybe they had mirror vision, just like a spookfish. If we had it as humans, it would completely change our visual perspective. The spookfish lives in the deep ocean where very little light exists. At first, they appear to have 4 eyes, but in fact, they have 2 eyes that are split, with one half looking up and the other half looking down. This allows it to look for predators and prey at the same time. The thing that's particularly unusual about the lower-facing part of the eyes, though, is that instead of using a lens to focus incoming light onto the retina, they actually have a network of crystals that function as mirrors and reflect the light. Pretty cool, huh? The whole design of the spookfish's eyes is to collect as much light as possible, and while this might be a substantial amount of information for a human brain to process, it would give a greater view of the world around us and let us see things that previously may have been invisible. Number 8. Avian Air Sacs. One of the most important chemicals we need is oxygen. That's why we have a whole respiratory system devoted to ensuring we can fill our lungs with air. Our cells need the oxygen to function properly, but what if there was a way to provide a fresher, more constant flow of oxygen to our bodies? Well, birds could quite possibly have the solution. They have relatively small lungs, but they also have 9 air sacs which further help with their breathing. These air sacs provide what is known as a unidirectional flow of air through the lungs. We have a bidirectional flow, which means that air moves in and out of our lungs, and we breathe in old air which has a lower oxygen content. The unidirectional flow that birds have ensures that they get a constant supply of fresh air with a higher oxygen content, and so the cells in their body can function at their optimum level. If a human were to benefit from this extra oxygen, it would mean that they would have more energy, we'd be able to recover faster from high-energy activities, and our cells would function more efficiently. Muscle growth would be greater, and it would lead to the development of a fitter and far healthier body. And now for number 7. But first, if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back! And if you're new here, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the latest videos. Number 7. Wood frog, liver antifreeze. Do you struggle with cold weather? When temperatures plummet, our bodies slow down and it becomes more and more difficult to function. But the wood frog has a unique way to deal with this that could make it possible for you to brave the most frozen of places. The wood frogs have developed a way to survive sub-zero temperatures during the winter, so they're ready to emerge again when things warm up. As the water inside their bodies begins to freeze, they draw in their legs and tuck their toes up tight against their bodies. Their metabolism drops, so they need very little oxygen or energy, and their livers begin to produce huge amounts of glucose. This puts more than 50 times the concentration of sugar in their bloodstream than a human diabetic would have. Ice crystallizes in some of their cavities, which draws more water from the cells and leaves a thick, syrupy liquid in the frog's body that doesn't freeze. This sugar-rich substance is very similar to commercial antifreeze and keeps the frog's body safe until the temperature begins to rise again and they can thaw out. If you're a superhero planning on taking on Mr. Freeze, the wood frog is going to be the best animal for you to get help from. Number 6. the snake, and Jacobson's organ. Our senses allow us to detect what's out in the world around us, but have you ever wondered what other senses could improve our awareness? Possibly the most powerful in the animal kingdom is known as the Jacobson's organ, a patch of sensory cells within the nose of snakes. The organ opens into the snake's mouth, where their tongue carries odor particles from outside to make contact with it. It allows the snake to detect very small quantities of moisture-borne particles and helps them to hone in on their prey with precision. If a human were to have this ability, they'd find it much easier to know what's around them and focus in on objects of interest. Of course, we'd also detect the disgusting smells in much more clarity, which could prove to be a double-edged sword. Number 5. Smalltooth dragonfish, night vision. Do you ever wish that you could see in the dark? Maybe for finding that late-night snack, or even fighting crime in the dead of night. Well, there's a species of fish that might just have the ability that you're looking for. The reason why the dragonfish is able to see where others can't is due to its unique bioluminescence and its ability to see colors that other fish cannot. Normally, underwater, fish with bioluminescence produce a blue-colored light. The reason for this is that blue light travels the furthest underwater, and this is also the color of light that most animals can see. It's the reason why underwater photography tends to have a blue tint to it, because the red wavelengths are absorbed more quickly at deeper depths. The dragonfish uses this to its advantage. As well as creating blue light, it also creates red light. This can be used to illuminate the water around them so they can see their prey, while other fish will have no clue that the dragonfish is watching them, because they don't have the pigments necessary to detect red light. See? Pretty sneaky. This works in a very similar way to night vision goggles that use infrared light, and would be an invaluable ability for all of us. Number 4. Gecko and sticky feet. If you have ever dreamt of climbing walls like Spider-Man, then I'm sure you will be fascinated by the gecko. They are able to walk up vertical walls and even hang upside down from branches or ceilings, and their secret is hidden in their feet. The thing you may not know, though, is that they have the ability to switch this stickiness on or off whenever they want, and this is because of the way the effect is achieved in the first place. Their feet aren't simply sticky, but instead they are covered in hundreds of microscopic hairs called setae. These hairs break off into even smaller strands, which fit into the small cracks and crevices within any surface they touch. At this microscopic level, something called the van der Waals force takes effect. This law of physics states that the electrons within the hairs and on the wall interact with each other and create an electromagnetic force. They can, however, change the angles of these hairs so the force doesn't take effect, which is how they can run quickly when they need to. They have everything under control. If we were to have this ability, we could run across walls, hang upside down, and grip objects extremely tightly. Number 3. Platypus electrical detector. The platypus is well known for being one of the 5 mammal species that lay eggs, but there's far more to these unusual animals, and they possess one particular trait that would give a human superpowers, particularly in the modern world. Explorers didn't know what to think when they first discovered the creatures in Australia, but as more has been learned about them, they continue to surprise with more unexpected abilities. You may know that the males have spurs on their hind feet that deliver a painful venom, but did you know that their bills can detect electrical impulses? When the platypus hunts underwater, it closes its eyes, ears, and nostrils, so it relies purely on its electroreceptors to find its prey. Their bills are covered with these sensors, which show them the precise direction that the signals are coming from. Just imagine if you had this sense yourself. Once you learn to ignore the impulses being generated by all the gadgets around your home, you'd be able to detect other people and all kinds of things that your eyes aren't able to see, and you'd never misplace your smartphone ever again. Number 2. Bombardier Beetle Boiling Abdomen Spray. So you're in the final showdown with your arch nemesis. Which superpower do you need to finish them off? Maybe the Bombardier beetle has the perfect solution, and one that would strike fear in the hearts of any foe. Living on all of the world's continents in a range of habitats, these beetles are quick to run away from danger, but when they aren't able to escape, they deploy their defense mechanisms. The first is a foul odor, which makes even the hardiest of predators think twice. The second line of defense, though, is what makes this beetle unique. It ejects a cloud of explosive gas from its abdomen that reaches a temperature of nearly 100 degrees Celsius. What's more, it can fire its load up to 20 times before needing to take a break to refill its supplies. Its abdomen can rotate 270 degrees in any direction, meaning it can protect itself from pretty much any angle. This blast is deadly for smaller creatures and a major irritant for larger ones, so usually the beetle will simply be able to walk away. Beetle 1, attacker 0. Number 1. African hairy frog, Wolverine claws. Have you ever watched the X-Men and wished you had a power like Wolverine? Well, it turns out there is actually an animal that is able to do just that, and it's probably one that you wouldn't expect. There are 9 species of frog, most of which live in Cameroon, which all have this incredible ability. They can actively break their bones so that they puncture through their toe pads to form claws. It's thought that this is a defense mechanism, but it sure produces an effective weapon. Unlike claws seen in other species, this is an actual piece of bone that's broken away by a muscle in the foot, and they are so sharp that local hunters spear them from a distance to avoid being hurt. These unusual frogs also grow hair-like strands of skin and arteries when they breed, which resemble a hairy tuft, and this is why they are often called the African hairy frog. It's not entirely clear if it's possible for the frogs to retract their claws once they have protruded through the skin, but as we know from Wolverine, they've already gone through the hard and painful part. Thanks for watching! Which one do you wish you could have? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you soon. Bye!